Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for October 26. Cabinet is to review the priority areas for recovery on Monday as the island continues the cleanup exercise post-Hurricane Sandy. On Thursday, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller instructed the various responsible agencies to submit detailed reports with their priorities for recovery by Friday. In an address to the nation Thursday night, Mrs. Simpson-Miller revealed that already the country was receiving offers of assistance for the recovery effort.
Representatives of governments from the international community, including my sister Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, have made contact to inquire what they can do to assist in our recovery activities.
The Prime Minister delivered that briefing after an aerial tour of some of the hard-hit sections of the island Thursday afternoon. Meanwhile, Information Minister Senator Sandria Faulkner says early indications are that Jamaica's disaster response mechanism helped to minimize the level of damage from the hurricane.
Based on what I saw before, we were quite prepared, and I think because of the level of preparedness, it lessened the impact.
The minister was speaking at a briefing at Jamaica House Thursday. She said many businesses were reporting a return to normalcy and added that fuel supplies in the country were normal and being distributed right across the island. In the meantime, Minister Faulkner said security remained a high priority.
The Minister of National Security, in terms of security, has assured us that the police, members of the force, are out in their numbers, and that for commercial areas where electricity has not been restored, that the curfews will be continued in those areas.
The National Works Agency has cleared over 60% of roads that were blocked or damaged during the hurricane. Customer Service and Communications Manager at the NWA, Stephen Shaw, says the agency responded to 150 reports of blocked corridors on main and parochial roads and has so far been able to clear more than 60% of them. Work on the others continues.
We have fanned out across the parishes. We are doing all that we can to ensure that persons can once again move as quickly as possible.
He says one of the major corridors, the Bogwalk Gorge, is now reopened to vehicular traffic. A number of other important corridors in Portland, St. Mary, St. Elizabeth, St. Thomas, and Kingston and St. Andrew have also been reopened to single-lane traffic or small vehicles. The Works Agency says it continues to battle downed phone and power lines, fallen trees and rocks, inundated fords, as well as debris and land slippages as it attempts to reopen all roads. The Jamaica Public Service Company, meanwhile, says it's making significant headway in restoring electricity to its customers. The company says it got a direct hit in its main population centers of St. Catherine and the Kingston metropolitan region, which account for more than half of its entire customer base. Preliminary assessments indicate that the company suffered damage to nearly 200 poles, close to 240 spans of power lines, as well as other elements of electricity infrastructure. Up to late Thursday night, JPS was able to restore power to over 60% of its customers, with its technical teams working round the clock to bring other customers onto the grid. But despite the progress, the Light and Power Company says customers may remain without supply into the weekend as it was still experiencing problems accessing some areas. The Agriculture and Fisheries Ministry says early assessments indicate that the banana industry has been significantly impacted by the wind and heavy rain associated with Hurricane Sandy. According to the ministry, damage to the sector is preliminarily estimated as being in excess of 50%. This comes at a time when the banana industry has embarked on a program of resuscitation to limit the volume of imported banana chips into the country. The portfolio minister and other stakeholders toured banana farms in St. Mary Friday morning to get a better handle on the extent of the damage and determine the level of response needed. Schools across the island should reopen for classes on Monday, October 29. The Education Ministry had directed that schools in Kingston, St. Andrew, Portland, St. Mary and St. Thomas were to remain closed this week, while schools in other parishes could resume operations Friday. But the ministry says all institutions across the island that are not being used as shelters and are safe to inhabit should open their doors come Monday. Parents are advised, however, to assess the local situation and ensure that children will have an easy passage to and from school. All hospitals have now resumed full operations with the exception of the Onoto Bay Hospital in St. Mary and the Port Antonio Hospital in Portland. The Health Ministry says the Onoto Bay Hospital is currently offering emergency services only, while the Port Antonio Hospital is now offering outpatient and emergency services. No elective surgeries are being done at Onoto Bay or Port Antonio. Meanwhile, health centers in all parishes except Kingston and St. Andrew, Portland and Trelawney have resumed normal operations. In Kingston and St. Andrew, the Mavis Bank, Lawrence Tavern, Dehaney Park and Hagley Park health centers will remain closed until further notice. The Portfolio Minister, Dr. Fenton Ferguson, says the ministry is still in the process of conducting damage assessment of all public health facilities. And finally, the Health Ministry is urging the public to take the necessary steps to prevent leptospirosis in the wake of Sandy. The ministry says persons, especially children, should not be swimming or wading in flood waters or eating foods that might have been contaminated with animal urine, as they could easily be infected with waterborne diseases such as leptospirosis. Symptoms include high fever, severe headache, chills, muscle aches, vomiting, jaundice, abdominal pain, diarrhea, and rash. If persons see signs of any of these symptoms, they should seek immediate medical attention, because if the disease is not treated, the patient could develop kidney damage, meningitis, liver failure, and respiratory distress, and in rare cases, death. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.